Welcome back everybody to Moderate Mods, and today we're dealing with the 1980 Fiat 124 Spider, and yeah, this is a cracking little sports car, to be honest. Nice front engine rear wheel drive layout, doesn't weigh all that much, and yeah, has a nice 2 litre inline 4 engine on the go as well. No idea why that light looks like it's flashing, but looks like it is. Wouldn't surprise me though, being a classic Italian car, not exactly got the best electrics on the go. Yeah, this is the American version, which is why it has these stupidly large bumpers on them, but unfortunately even with upgrades you can't replace them for the original chrome versions. So yeah, it's a sport version, so Sport Spider, and yeah, so that's why it's got the most amount of horsepower you can get out of this version of this car. We're in D-Class though, we're not all that high up, and yeah, it's not got the most amount of power, 102 horsepower, 110 pound-feet of torque. But like I said, it doesn't weigh that much, so it's a good platform to start from. And yeah, acceleration, handling and braking are decent, though yeah, really are fitted towards the amount of speed and acceleration this car can do, not, you know, any faster. So yeah, it handles good for what it's got in terms of power, but obviously if we gave it more power without upgrading handling, it would be really rather awful. Decent top speed of more than 100 miles an hour, and the launch is pretty good as well. So yeah, let's see what it can do in its stock form. See just how quick this car is, and then we'll get it into the garage and give it some upgrades. So yeah, unfortunately, like I said, those US bumpers cannot be removed for the original Italian ones, which do kind of spoil the looks, in all honesty, but it's just the way it was back in America in those days. Every import and even every domestic had to have those stupid 5-mile-an-hour impact bumpers, which actually proved to be more useless than anything else, because they used to be really rather quite, you know, soft and pliable and all that a lot, but they'd end up transferring the damage from the bumper into, you know, chassis or anything else underneath the car. So the bumper would look fine, but there'd be more damage underneath that would go unnoticed, which, yeah, is why you don't see them anymore. So yeah, which is a good thing, because they ruined a lot of styling of a lot of good-looking cars. So yeah, I'm glad they're gone, and I just hope that in some future Forza game that we'll be able to swap out the original bumpers, because yeah, I really do not like these style of bumpers, which yeah are not just on this car, or on a few others, I think. And if we do get Americanized versions of cars that we don't currently have on a Forza game, then they'll most likely come with those bumpers if they're from the late 70s, early 80s. So yes, please do not have them on any future cars. If you do, at least let us change out for the originals. Yeah, still a solid sports car despite those bumpers, which also added a lot of weight to the car. Yeah, not the fastest of things. First lap time there, 1 minute 29.890, which is actually right around the same kind of time as the TR7 from the previous episode, despite this having more power and more torque, or at least more power. I can't remember how much torque the TR7 has, but yeah, this definitely has more power than that TR7. I'm not sure if it's actually a little bit heavier. Wouldn't surprise me, being the American version with these massively heavy bumpers, which do add at least 100 pounds or thereabouts. So yeah, if you're ever going to have one of these cars from America, then swap those bumpers out, because this car in general looks great without them. Classic little Italian sports car in pretty much every right. Oopsie daisy, fair bit of understeer there. It's a shame that the modern Fiat 124 doesn't really capture the spirit of this car. Its overly turbocharged engine and its more aggressive looks, it just doesn't quite fit the whole spirit of an Italian sports car, really. But a much faster time there, 1 minute 21.915. So as long as we don't crash into a wall this time, we should at least get a little bit faster than that for our last lap. There is a fair bit of understeer in this car, which Probably isn't helped by the skinny tyres and the wallowy suspension. Luckily it's not quite as wallowy as some cars from the period because it doesn't have all that much in the way of weight. If it was a heavier car it would roll around a fair bit more. Luckily there's not much in the way of weight on the body. Which is why, despite only having 102 horsepower, this is actually fairly sprightly. Sounds fairly good as well, despite only getting up to about 6,000 RPM. Yeah, lack of power really does kill it on this section. It doesn't seem quick enough at gaining speed, but there we go, final time there, 1 minute 21. 0.765, so not massively quicker than our second lap time, but quicker nonetheless. So let's get to the garage, give this car some upgrades and see what those upgrades do in terms of improving in terms of handling and speed, but also more importantly time. So here is the classic little Italian sports car in all its glory. Yeah, really not much to it in terms of bodywork and the like, but it is technically a 4-seater. Although I imagine those rear seats would not be all that comfortable, but it is overall practical. Got a really rather sizable boot for a car of this size, and yeah, it looks absolutely gorgeous in a lot of ways. So yeah, let's take a look at the acceleration times to see what we are going to be improving from. So 0 to 60 in 9 seconds, which isn't bad considering it's only got 102 horsepower, but it does take an agonising 35 seconds to get to 100, and it will only do 110. So yeah, not great, but obviously it's a product of its time. But let's see what we can do. I'm pretty sure any of these upgrades are not going to be any good. Yeah, engine's too powerful, and yeah, turbochargers and superchargers will be far too complicated, and it would make me a hypocrite given I slated the modern Fiat 124 for its turbocharged engine. So let's ignore that. Let's just give it slightly wider tyres, front and rear. Hopefully cure some of that understeer that we had on the go. And engine wise, well, we're going to do mostly street or sport upgrades, so let's get going. I like an even number in terms of engine, so we'll leave that. Let's do the valves, let's do the cams, let's do the exhaust, street ignition, street fuel system. What are we up to? 139. 145 seems like a nice round number, so that's a 40 extra horsepower boost, while obviously it's not going to weigh as much now that we're dipping some of the power out, some of the weight out of it. Going to give it sporty brakes, going to give it street suspension, so it'll lower it by 0.39 of an inch, not a massive amount, but it should hopefully cure some of the body roll that we have on the go, as well as street and sport rear and front anti-roll bars. We'll knock a little bit of weight out with the spare wheel, lighter battery and no toolkit. Yeah, the gearbox really isn't going to do much for us there, but we'll give it a street clutch and a racing driving line, just knock some more weight out of it. So yeah, there we go. Not very much done there to it, not even 20,000 credits, 19,800 overall, but we've got a 43 extra horsepower increase, and yeah, we're weighing now 78 pounds less. Yeah, so yeah, that's a decent amount of upgrades there. Should help us in terms of acceleration for sure, so we'll have to see what it will do for us for handling. But yeah, we'll now do 0 to 60 in 6.922 seconds, so we're more than 2 seconds quicker than before. 0 to 120.795 seconds, so about 14 seconds quicker. And we'll now do 123 miles an hour, so 13 mile an hour quicker at the top end. So yeah, this is going to be more my kind of vehicle in some ways, but don't get me wrong, I do really love the standard car, but there's no doubt that it has some deficiencies. So let's see if we have cured those deficiencies by getting back to the circuit. So we're still in D-Class, and unsurprisingly, to be honest, despite the upgrades, the handling hasn't gone all that much. It's only 0.1 extra. Braking is 0.2 extra, so that's not all that much either. Launch is slightly better by 0.1. Acceleration is substantially better at now 5.2. I think it was, what, 4 before? Something like that. And yeah, the speed is better obviously at 5.4 now that it's doing 13 mile an hour extra. So yeah, I'm not quite sure how much faster this is going to be, because yeah, the handling and braking stats aren't all that much better. But hopefully the good handling in the car from stock will still shine through despite having more power and more torque. So yeah, let's get onto the circuit and see if these upgrades have made the car any better. Still holding the spirit of the original car. Well, it certainly sounds louder. And it's revving higher as well by about 500 revs. Not really seeing any extra acceleration yet, but then the launch isn't particularly better, and yeah, obviously the uphill section to start with always ruins a car's start on this series. So yeah, not particularly great off that line, but that's just the way it is sometimes. But yeah, let's see if the handling has not just survived the extra power and torque, but it's also been improved a little bit. Obviously the stats didn't go up massively. Like I said, 0.1 for the handling and 0.2 for the braking, but still, we're only got 145 horsepower, so we're not exactly ludicrously more powerful, but obviously still more than what it was ever meant to deal with. But it seems to be handling it okay so far. A little bit more oversteer than before, but I'd rather that than well, I was going to say catastrophic understeer we just had a bit there. So yeah, we might well have needed to widen the tyres a little bit more, or maybe change the tread. But either way, we're definitely faster in terms of acceleration and speed, because we're now getting up to 90 miles an hour, which we never managed before. In fact, we're going to get it closer to 100, which is fairly impressive. And a time of 1 minute 22.699 seconds, so more than 7 seconds quicker than our original time in the first lap. Fully aware that a Beetle is going to be beating us, but it's no surprise. That's probably been massively upgraded in comparison to the standard car. Yeah, this also sounds fairly good as well. Sounds really snouty and sporty. Not like the original engine in its original form wasn't, but this has definitely gotten a lot more angrier as an engine. Still that understeer that is plaguing our handling. But I guess if you get used to it, you'll be able to make the most of it. Just a bit of a shame really, because I thought the wider tyres and better suspension and would have made, and obviously with being light by about 70 pounds would have made a difference. But regardless, 1 minute 16.593 seconds for our second lap time there. So we're about, well, more than 5 seconds quicker than we were on our fastest lap time in the stock car. So let's see if we can improve any further. A little bit more agile than it was before, probably because of the lack of weight now. And you can seem to cure that understeer by lifting off the power, which obviously doesn't make it all that quick, but it does at least mean we avoid crashing, which yeah, you certainly wouldn't want to be doing in a car like this. Doubt it's the safest of vehicles. But there we go. A final improvement there at 1 minute 15.509 seconds, making this car more than 6.2 seconds quicker than the original car, which is a pretty sizable improvement, despite the fact that the handling seemingly isn't all that much better, either via the stats or by actually driving the thing. But yeah, the extra horsepower and torque and the slight reduction in weight certainly made a difference there. But yeah, it's definitely still some improvements you could give this car. I would recommend wider tyres, a slightly street or sport tread, and yeah, maybe even more of a reduction in weight. But the amount of power and torque that we gave it was more than able to handle, and yeah, certainly made a difference in terms of acceleration and speed all around the track pretty much. Nonetheless, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.